Hello, guys. Thank you for watching the Disclosure Team YouTube channel. I completely messed that up. Happy Saturday, everyone. This is going to be a great conversation. We've got a few panel guests jumping in tonight, so let's bring them in one by one. First, I'd like to introduce, you guys know this guy. If you've been anywhere on my Instagram page, you know we do these kind of things all the time on Instagram Lives. Please welcome Andy, UAP Discussion. What's up, brother?
What's up, bro? How are you?
I'm good, man. How are you?
I'm good. Got
Cool.
the AC going now.
I can hear it a little bit, but it's all good.
Yeah.
I've got mine on as well. Well, I've got a fan. We don't have AC in the UK. Next up, guys, we have got a new friend that I've made recently, someone who I think we all have a lot of respect for the work that he's been doing. So please welcome Mr. Chris Lehto.
Hi, Vinnie. How's it going? Hey, Andy.
Good,
hey, guys.
How are you?
How are you?
Great. Yeah, great to be here.
Good. Thank you so much for joining us. And then finally, this gentleman is going to talk about a UAP that he filmed. We're going to go through the footage. So without further ado, my newest friend, Mr. Nigel Benton. Nigel, thank you so much for joining us.
Thanks for the invite. I mean, completely unexpected, and here we are. So funny how things turn out, isn't it? I never thought that kind of when I took the film, which was a considerable time ago. So.
Well, let's just jump straight into it. I'll just give a quick shout out to everyone that's watching live. Thank you so much for joining us. Love you guys, always joining me live. So thank you for that. If you got any questions, ask away. I'll try and look out for them. So yeah, Nigel, why don't you talk us through this video? Give us a little brief overview of it, and then we can actually get into it if you want.
Right.
Or shall I play it and talk about it at the same time? What do you think?
Well, either way, don't really mind. I mean, essentially, this is 15 years old. Okay. This was a year before the first iPhone came out, so there's no, fortunately, it was filmed on a Sony Handycam, so the actual quality of it, considering, isn't that bad. And I think the iPhone would have been considerably worse at that time. So essentially, it was just complete random day, 24th of August, 2006. Literally sitting in the back garden at lunchtime. Beautiful, clear blue skies, little fluffy clouds here and there, reclining in the sunshine, and happened to just look slightly behind myself and spotted a star, literally just the same as you'd see any star at night, but this was in the blue sky. So I thought, that's not right. Wow. What is that? So I just sat and watched it for a minute or two. It didn't move, it didn't disappear. So I thought, I've got to get this on camera. So I grabbed the camera, and that's where it starts off on the footage. That's just when I found out how terribly difficult it is to focus it on a star you can see with your eyes, but through the viewfinder, through that, with that, it's nowhere near, trying to actually find something to reference it with, and then eventually zoom in, but did manage to do it. But of course, then you get shakes because, you're magnifying it so much, so your excitement is making it worse than it should be. But fortunately, I was managed to, have the presence of mind to take a shot of the clock in the kitchen. So we had a time, and I knew what the date was because I was working from home. So, and that's really where it goes on. And I filmed it for probably around half an hour in total, during which time it barely moved. I mean, it probably moved maybe 12 inches across the sky in that time. And eventually I just had to stop filming it because I got other stuff to do, but it was still there. A little later I checked, and then eventually it just kind of disappeared. It just gone. So what actually happened to it, I don't know.
Wow.
It's just one of these things that I just managed to grab. But I didn't really do anything with it because I didn't know what to do with it until I saw Chris's chat with Andy and Dave Falsh, yourself.
Yeah.
And it was Dave Falsh's FLIR video of the unexpected object that they filmed. And I looked at that and said, well, that's what I've got on camera, but mine's in the visual range, not in the infrared. So that's what I contacted Chris and said, well, what do I do with this? Would you guys like to look at it? And he said, well, just post it. So I posted it. I threw together the video, posted it, and that was a week ago, and here we are. So 15 years and a week.
Yeah, that's awesome. I love this kind of way of doing things, that people have been sitting on things for so long, and now that they're seeing more people talking about it, more videos coming out, more people willing to analyze it.
Yeah.
I think it's fantastic. So Chris, what did you think when you first saw the video or got contacted by Nigel?
Yeah, well, I saw his message and I thought, like, I don't know what I like him to do, you know. And I think the best is if he just puts it on YouTube. You know, we can, as a YouTuber, I can basically just copy anything that's on YouTube, essentially, right, without any copyright issues. It's just that, and everybody has, at least everybody that's watching YouTube probably has a YouTube account or something. But it really is just easy to just post it. You know, Nigel, and I was like, hey, if you're willing to post it, you know, if you want to put this out public, put it up on YouTube, you know, and then I can just reference it direct, which is what I did. It's super easy. And I made that video today. So I released it today on my channel.
Nice, man. So
yeah, and then I went to it, and we'll show it here. Exactly what he's saying. I mean, it looks, yeah, we'll look at it right now if you want to.
Let's do it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Have you got it lined up on the screen?
Yeah,
let's
go. Yeah. So here's his YouTube, I guess. Yeah, Nigel Benton, one video, man. He started it. We got a new YouTuber on the scene.
I'll be subscribing.
Really,
I'll be subscribing.
I thought it was really good.
World.
Subscribe, yeah. So here it is. You know, it's 20, almost 20 minutes. So I'll just go through it kind of quickly to the main points, okay? But I would, you know, I'd say everybody that's interested to go watch it. It's a really good example. Nigel, you know, you're also importantly, you're talking through the video. You know, actually, we do this as as a, you know, fighter pilots when we debrief. I you know, I'll talk all the time, you know, into the video. Like, I see him doing this, I see him doing this. You know, that's a mess up. Anything to cue the tape so that you can go back to it. And actually, we need sound to cue our tapes anyway. So you always find something common. So I like how you talk through the tapes. You know, I keep seeing all these videos online. And it's just like this crazy thing flying.
No,
that's it. Yeah, nobody's talking.
Yeah.
And the other thing I don't like as well, and that kind of points out to me anyway that it's fake, is it's kind of like, well, why were you there filming that bit? You know, you've got an object in it, but then you go over here. You know,
and you're not excited.
Camera around and look over there, and it's kind of like, well, it's over here. So why are you moving around? And there's no commentary. You know, so this kind of says to me, probably fake, probably.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, but it would look so real on yours. So you give this good commentary. I think you basically just covered it. But as we go through, you know, like you mentioned, it's just hard to focus on this thing, right? So you're trying to focus on it here. Like, we can even turn up your sound so you can hear it.
Whoa.
There we go.
Yeah. I mean, that's just crazy to me, you know? It's like
That's
exactly
weird.
like Dave Falch's.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And this was, just to give it a little bit more context, it was around, it wasn't directly above, but it was around 75, 80 degrees elevation. So it was steep, and that's why it got really painful in the neck and the arms, trying to hold camera up steady and film it.
This isn't the kind of camera that would pick up a distant planet in the daytime because of the quality of the camera. It's really just a small handy cam for everyday use, isn't it?
Yeah. So and I like this as well. Yeah, this is really good because, I mean, if I'm taking if I'm filming a UFO, hopefully I'm like, I selfie myself in the camera. You know, we should just for funness, you should be selfieing yourself in the, you know, with the UFO. Like, here I am, everybody. You know, that pairs you, man, and like all that stuff, I think makes it harder. I mean, I'm no video expert or, you know, video deepfake guy expert, but I think it makes it more difficult, right? You know, so he films here, so we see it's him. We can see the type of camera, and then he looks through the window at the clock. You know, that was so awesome. I was like, yes, you know, that's so good. Such a good idea.
That's great.
Yeah. And then he goes back out. So the other thing I really like, so he timestamped it. I put on my video, you know, if you can timestamp it, I was thinking with like another phone. You know, if you put up your phone and like just search like GMT or something, or just even film anything that says, you know, your phone. You know, you guys just read my text, but I think that even makes it harder to fake as well. You know, because now they got to deep fake that thing. You know, all these things they're gonna have to deep fake, right? The more context you can get in the video, the harder I think it is to fake it. I would assume. You know, I'm not. No,
but what it is? So many people just don't know how to record. I make fun of that all the time because it's not that difficult, but I guess they don't really think of what to do at the moment, so they just sit there and film. You know what I mean?
It's hard, man. I would say go and try and film like an airliner or an airplane.
Like I got this, like just recently, someone sent me incredible footage, but it was only about 5 seconds long, and I'm like, why did you do that? And it was legit. I mean, legit. I didn't post it because it was so short, but it was a triangle craft that flew right over her. She got scared and ran inside and stopped recording. But it was a perfect triangle, and it was lighting up. Every single spot was lighting up on each corner. And she ran inside because she was scared. I'm like, why?
Yeah, exactly. And I guess the other thing he does really just these two things, I think, and you have a good UFO video, is he anchors it. So he basically films the ground and then he scans up. So from there, we can go with a direction from where he's at. Or if you have a compass, I guess that would be perfect. But chances are you're not going to have a compass. No. But you could, I guess, in front of your iPhone if you have enough time, another iPhone, right? You could bring up your compass app. But really, we just need, a direction to where it's going and then a time. And then the powerful thing is, so Nigel had this, from 15 years ago, right?
Yeah.
But imagine there's somebody near this town that just randomly happened to do the same thing, right? So now we have 2 points, and now we can kind of get an idea how far away this thing is. Because if you look later, let me see here, at this point, there's a plane that comes along.
Oh, nice. That always helps.
Can you explain that? Because you were having a hard time finding it, right, Nigel, if I remember?
Yeah, I mean, in the early parts of the video, there was quite a bit of cloud. It wasn't heavy cloud, but there was a bit coming across. So I could kind of relate to that. But towards the end, it was, or towards this part of it anyway, it was pretty much a blue sky. So this little star that I was trying to focus on, every time I tried to zoom in, I got no reference point. And then actually on the video, you can hear the jet kind of in the background. It's as it's kind of coming across. You can hear the sounds coming. So I thought, oh, yes, there's a jet coming. And looking up, I could see it was actually going to pass pretty much where my dot was. So I just followed the jet because that's the only option I'd got, really. And it was great because it also kind of gives you some relation to size. I mean, obviously they're not side by side. I would suggest that if it is a UAP, then it's below the flight path. If it's not a UAP, it must be huge and above the flight path. So from a scale perspective, in my mind, if it's lower, it's still pretty big. But if it's higher, it's got to be huge. And maybe the jet would have seen it because of the way the windows are on the jet. You'd possibly have seen it. But then again, maybe if the angle's too steep, the jet wouldn't have seen it unless it was from a long distance. And then it would have been a tiny star that they probably wouldn't have noticed. I only noticed it because I happened to stare at it long enough, I think.
And did it move at all? I mean, I know you mentioned earlier.
Yeah, it didn't move, as in it didn't make any movement. But over a period of time, it probably traveled maybe, visually, I don't know, maybe a foot across the sky, if you know what I mean, in that space. But I mean, I think you can almost tell that it does move slightly across, but you can't see the motion. There is no actual motion, no indication of how it's moving or anything. My only kind of, as you go through what is it as you're filming, I thought, obviously I thought balloon. First thing I thought star, but stars, no. During the day on a full sunlight day in August, it can't be. It's opposite the sun, so then it's got to be reflection in my mind. So it's reflecting back.
Just looking at this comment here.
Yeah, that if it was Venus or Mars, he would have not lost it. It still would have been there. Apparently, he went and looked up again, and it was gone. So I don't think Venus could just move out the way.
I don't think Venus is ever in the northeast of the sky. It's always the other end, isn't it? It's always southwest, kind of. I think somebody mentioned earlier, could it have been Venus? But I think the elevation's far too high.
Yeah.
I think Venus, whenever we see it, is kind of dusty and it's low level and it's kind of towards the south.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
In the middle of the day too.
Yeah, and you wouldn't see it. The light. I mean, that's why you can't see the stars in the daylight, because it drowns everything out.
So to my mind, it's reflected light. So it's not a star. It would have to be a supernova to be visible, and they know about that. That would be reported.
Sorry, Nigel, you said in your video, you write in here that you called your wife, but she didn't answer. You left a message. That was awesome too, Yeah.
And also, my business partner, he lived back then, kind of 7 miles east, almost directly east. And I phoned him and said, "Can you have a look outside, look kind of northwest? Can you see this star?" And he said he couldn't see anything. Now, I've been thinking about this a little bit. If he was directly to the east, and if this object wasn't so incredibly high or far away, maybe he didn't get the reflection. If it's a ball, it's only going to reflect the front face. The back face won't be visible at all. And this thing was literally a pinprick in the sky. It was a star, so you wouldn't have been able to see it had it been literally kind of above me there. I think from the side, even from behind, if you were further north, if you were in Sheffield, you wouldn't have been able to see it because the sunlight would have, blinded it out. It would have wiped it out completely. So to me, it has to be reflected light off an object. And the only other thing that ever came to mind was, could it be geostationary satellite? But even then, again, to see it in daylight, it's just, I can't see.
You wouldn't see it.
I can't see it being a weather balloon because it's in a commercial flight path. I mean, these jets.
Yeah.
Recently, I've been using radar. The flight radar 24.
Yeah.
The jets that go over, and they're flying between 30 and 40,000 feet.
Yeah.
It's the same route that they were flying back in 2006. So you wouldn't want stuff like that floating around above a commercial flight path.
No.
So,
and I've seen some people take videos from airliners as well. They take the videos from airliners, so it's you could almost do the same thing, but your timestamp has to be a lot more accurate. I don't know. Can we tell exactly where a plane is? Or can you get how accurate is that?
Yeah.
From a plane.
Question. So, Chris, did you analyze this much further? Did you zoom in on multiple points and things like that, or?
No, I haven't. I just saw it. I thought really what was best to learn from it is we need more points of multiple sources.
Absolutely, I think that's a great point, and also the fact that the things you mentioned with the way Nigel went about filming it, with filming himself, filming the clock, all those little extra data points that really are important to just filming sightings. I know it's hard in the moment, or I can imagine it's hard in the moment. I've never seen anything, so I can't speak to that. So yeah, no, that's super interesting. So Nigel, thank you so much for bringing that forward. I really appreciate it.
You're welcome.
It looks like it's really high.
Pleased with the interest.
Yeah, I think you have to be ready. It's one of those, maybe once in a lifetime type things. It's so rare.
Yeah,
that's when
it happens. Yeah,
when good footage comes out, you're just not ready. That's why a lot of times it's so crappy, because it just happens right then. You're like, holy crap. A lot of times people who are like plane enthusiasts that are watching planes end up catching them as they're tracking the plane. They end up getting sidetracked because they'll see, for example, like an object like that, and they'll catch it. But the authentic ones usually no one's prepared for. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, because a lot of people, the first thing they want to do is they want to get it as clear as they can, so they zoom. And of course, if you've got a bit of handshake on a full zoom, man, that thing looks like it's jumping around all over the place. And
so many people don't get that, That's why I get so frustrated with that, because it's like when you're zooming in all the way, any little movement you make is going to make this thing jump all over the screen. You know what I mean?
Time, yeah.
So unless you have a tripod sitting there and you manage to focus in on it without, that's the only way you're going to get a decent, stabilized, recording. But
it
just
no one has a tripod lying around just because they're going to film. Let me just pull this out of my pocket. Like, I'm ready.
At the very end of the video, the last comment I make is, "I wish I had a tripod."
Yeah.
Yeah. So is that what
These
you?
days
What
I've
would
got
you have
one,
done different?
but no more UAPs, unfortunately.
Would you have done anything different, Nigel? I've heard you can. I was looking at a CIA document. Someone Martin sent me actually from DUAPR. How to photograph a UFO. Right. And step one is manually focus it to infinity. I was surprised by that. I don't know. Would that have helped you? Because I saw you focusing in and out a lot, but it seems like you also went past it, right? So
Right.
I wonder if infinity, you didn't get there, if that would have helped somehow.
Yeah, I mean, the only focus, the sort of zoom was that, it's just literally a push to go in, to zoom in, push to zoom out. I think there is a digital zoom feature on it somewhere, but in the, I didn't have time to set that up really. I think if I'd had more people that I could have called, maybe, I couldn't think at the time. I mean, I've got a younger brother, but he was working in Derby at the time. He could have done it, but I didn't have his number. I mean, he didn't have, let's say iPhones had come out. I think we're on Nokias in those days, and I'm not even sure if he had one. So it's one of those things, in hindsight, I wish I'd got a bigger list of people that I could have contacted. And I guess, unless by some fluke, again, it was Nokia phones and whatever back then. So unless somebody did happen to have a handy cam and did happen to see it back then and film it, then, maybe, well, the chances they're gonna see this, but having said that, you never know.
Every time I think of what the story I told Vinnie and Chris, it's like, oh my God, if I would have had some kind of recording equipment with me at the time, I would have had a freaking video that would have blown everybody away. Like, it just, every time I think about it, it's like, why did I not have anything? But at the time, there was no cell phone cameras. Camcorders were expensive.
I mean, one thing I did think of this the other day, and actually, I think one thing that I could have done, of course, is get in my car and go drive 5 miles east or 5 miles west and see if I could find it still. That's the only thing, so I would be my dual source, if you like.
Yeah, that was on the list. That was on the CIA list as well. It was
drive elsewhere and see if you can still see it.
The only thing I really thought was good. It was like, take a lot of photographs, and if it's close, then you want to move around. They said 40 to 60 feet is enough, right? If it's close, to get different angles. But then if it's far away, it doesn't help to move around. But it does help to get in your car. And it said go at least half of a mile. And then
you can do a triangulation.
Yeah, but we chair fly a lot in the Air Force. You just mentally go through what you're going to do, or the best is you go practice it, right? Like, really just practicing stuff actually works. But nobody, I hope somebody out there is like actually going to go and practice. Because I charged my camera, went out, all right, and then try and get some plane videos. Good luck. Like
it's not as easy as you might think. Yeah.
Or at least chair fly.
I'm just going to give a shout out to Healthy MBS. Thank you for the $5. You got a question for Chris. So, Chris, based on your experience with USAF fighter jets and related systems, have you been asked to help analyze or investigate UAP type events for any organization?
Yes. A group at the SCU asked me. They were trying to put together some project. I'm not sure what it is, but later in September, I believe, is when they said they'd reconvene. So just a little bit. I'm quite new still. Obviously people they already have their schedules full and everything. So I would like to ask some more pilots though. I haven't really tried to even contact my friends or whatever, like, what are they doing? My Facebook account got cut off. I don't know if it's planned or something, but I think it just, I couldn't access it. This was 6 weeks ago and Facebook will not answer my calls back, and I'm like, hey, my account's not working. I can't get into it. So I don't know.
Dude, they'll be like, this guy's talking. We got to
get another one. I didn't use it.
That's funny.
Me and Vinnie get shadow banned from Instagram all the time.
Oh, don't, man.
We're still currently going through one right now. It's like, oh my God.
It's so bad.
Yeah.
That is so bad. Like, I'm posting probably once a day at the moment, just because. What's the point if they're going to treat us like that? You know.
What's going on? I don't know. On Instagram or.
Yeah, you because we have like business accounts. You can check all your statistics for like your reach and things like that, and it's just dive bombed. And people will be like, oh well, maybe it's just people aren't interested. But I've been doing it for long enough to know when things
Something's
like that
wrong.
happen. And it's.
And you get a steady flow of traffic, and then all of a sudden it's just like non-existent. You're like, what's going on?
Yeah,
and that's when you know that someone's messing around on the other side.
Yeah, definitely.
Changing the algorithm.
It is, and it is the algorithm, which, yeah.
And it sucks because they consider it, fake news type of crap. So when you post things like this, I guess it pops up in their algorithm. It sets something off and then hits you with like some kind of like a warning. I don't know.
The thing is, I've never had a warning or anything. I've just had these issues, but I'm not going to dwell on it, man. It is what it is,
Are you going to talk about San Marino and Max?
Yeah, so
and he's talking with Lou Elizondo right now. That's awesome.
Yeah, I'll talk. Yeah, so I'll go back a few weeks. I was aware that the San Marino event was coming up. I knew that Lou and Chris Mellon were flying out to do a talk, and the first thing that comes up in your head is, why are they traveling all that way to talk for an hour or so when it's all happening over Zoom and stuff these days? There's got to be something else going on. Now, it's been speculated for a while now that because it's an ISA conference, who are at the forefront of pushing the subject into the United Nations, I thought there's got to be some correlation there. And it's looking like that it's going that way, definitely. And that San Marino may be the country to take it to the United Nations. I think we're going to find out more information in the coming days, weeks. But so me and Max spoke, and we're like, dude, let's go to San Marino, road trip it. I was like, yeah, I'd love to. Realized when it was, couldn't make it. So Max, bless him, drove from Holland to Germany, from Germany to Italy, and yeah, met with Lou, and luckily had him on Instagram Live earlier for 5 minutes. That was great.
He's going to talk to him tomorrow as well, isn't he?
He's going to join Max again tomorrow.
Yeah, and that was Lou's suggestion, apparently.
It was, yeah. So, yeah, it's exciting, man. But it's a good thing is I've got an interview with Lou in 8 days on my channel, so I'll get a good hour, if not longer, to really throw the questions at him. So,
and you, I guess I don't know much about, like, again, I'm still so new, but bringing this to the UN, do you think that's the best way to go, or it is because it will draw in so many other countries, smaller countries that have never had any chance of talking about the subject when coming up against the US, who are kind of holding all the big or a lot of the answers, let's say. So if we get a conglomerate of many smaller countries coming together through the UN, then we can get transparency coming out from that angle, and the Pentagon and all them who are still playing games becomes super irrelevant all of a sudden. So yeah, it really does, right? Once you go global.
Yeah,
I think it becomes embarrassing for the states, though, doesn't it? Yeah, for the American government then, because it's like now everybody's looking at them saying, "Well, what is it? What is it? Give us some information, please." Everybody else, the rest of the world wants to know, and you're the one just going, "No, there's nothing to see. Nothing to see."
Yeah, there are people within the DoD and the Pentagon, I believe, who are on the side of putting out the information, but they're just getting stonewalled at the top, at the very high levels from some of the, let's say, the old grey hairs of the government who are still holding, pulling all the strings and stuff. But there are lower downs who are younger guys who want this to come out. So, we'll see if they follow suit, if the UN get going. Maybe they'll panic and release stuff because they think, well, if the UN are going to be the disclosure group, then we'll do it, and then we'll be number one still. I don't know.
You got to still ask yourself, why so adamant about holding all of this information back still to this day? Like, what is the reason? What is their reasoning? Like, what do they know that they push so hard to not release anything and to keep denying it no matter what? So I mean, it's got to be something pretty significant for them to, go at it like this for God knows how many years and still now, as close as we've, the closest we've gotten is in this, time period, and still they push to not release anything. So it makes you wonder, what is it that they know, and if we're really prepared to know.
But the thing is, it's got to be multiple things. Sorry, go on,
Yeah,
Nigel.
I think that's one of the key things. It's preparing people to accept a truth that they probably wouldn't easily accept. There's a lot of people in the world that are highly religious, that that have a set way in their mind, and you're going to blow that out of the water. It's that all of a sudden, people think that we as a race are pretty unique, and we are fairly unique, but clearly I don't think we can say we're the only ones, because that's just nonsense. And I think any government that has a lot of secrets that are going to change the paradigm and change the way people think about religion, think about afterlife, think about origins, it's a lot to consider, and you can see why they wouldn't want to let out a lot of information all in one go. So little leaks that just pertain towards technology maybe is acceptable, but when you're talking about culture and philosophies and religion, it's a whole different ballgame, and I'm not sure governments are particularly good at sort of working with those sort of people.
We've got to remember, though, that religion for the last, probably at least the last 5 years, have spoken about their acceptance if an extraterrestrial race was to become known to them, that they are equally a part of the children of God as the human race is. So the acceptance seems to be there. So I don't think they can just play the religion card as the main reason. It may play a part and be an aspect of it. But I think also what's good to acknowledge is that if the US government have known things as far back as the 40s with an extraterrestrial race, it certainly looks, or there's evidence to point to the fact that there's multiple different others out there. That isn't just an ET race, maybe the Greys, but there could be others like interdimensionals and things. So we're not just talking about one race or one answer. What do you think, Chris?
I don't know. The Vatican, right? Wasn't Lou going there for some reason? I thought originally he was going to go to the Vatican, and I was like, maybe down in like the catacombs of the Vatican. Have you been under there? You go under the church. I got this. It was this tour. It's like some crazy 200 meters below. It's just built on these cemeteries. You talk about religion and everything. You can see the religion actually, because it's before Christ. They had it was a cemetery, and so
like catacombs, are they?
Yeah, it is catacombs. You climb up, right? You go up the layers. So you're basically walking up in time. It starts back in the day. There's no crosses, and then it gets like close to zero time, and then some crosses were like getting hashed in, from a later time, yeah. And then it goes to obviously Christianity, and then from there. So I was hoping just down there they have like some crazy alien artifacts or something, I
actually heard they
I don't know.
I thought on a documentary, I believe the Vatican supposedly has this body of some being that they have in a closed off location or whatever. No one's able to go there to actually investigate it or look at it, but that's supposedly they have some kind of body of an ET, apparently. I don't know if it was retrieved from a crash or something like that, but that's the rumor. I'm not sure how true it is, but apparently no one has access to that area.
Cool. John Hunsley, thank you for the £5. And this is an absolutely fantastic question. What do you guys think is currently the most compelling UFO UAP video evidence ever taken? Wow. I'm gonna throw in the A10 straight away because I think that is incredible.
Well,
it's new. It's still not been fully concluded. I think the work that Chris, Dave, and others, Andy, we've been looking at that for a little while now, and I think it's incredible. So I'm going to go with that. I'm going to go with A10. Who's next?
Most compelling? I don't know. Video evidence.
Mm-hmm.
For me, it's got to be gimbal, right? I mean, it was the only one I could definitively prove and finally get Mick West to stop making videos about, right? I mean, It took 10 of those, but in a row. But you could like dial, we drilled down for I don't know how many videos. So for me, it's got to be that one.
Consider yourself that you won that back and forth then?
I think so.
I mean, I know we shouldn't look at it like a competition or a fight or anything, but
yeah, no,
let's
it was.
Look at it like that.
Yeah,
It's more fun to do that.
they always come back. I'm like, I did think at the end, like, come up with an answer for this naysayer. I really thought that in my head, and then they came back. I'm like, oh, they're so smart.
Well, Chris, what about the Aguadilla footage?
Oh,
Yeah, also exceptional. Really, the SCU did such a great job with that. That is really good because they had so many different data points. They had the multiple sources. They tracked from the, they were able to track the aircraft that was filming the UAP. They were able to track it with another radar, so they confirmed that. And then they confirmed with radar that they were getting hits off the coast. Before these things came up. We don't know if this thing came up. They're so good. I really believe if we just you have one with like 50 cameras on it, like that's going to be going to be the blockbuster. The problem is just single source, right? I mean, you get one with like, there's 100 people, they all film from different angles, different houses, and then they all go and upload like Nigel did, and it would just be like case closed. I mean, I don't know. I believe so though. I mean, and so fast, right? And I think a lot of reasons you only have like 5 seconds on these videos, Andy, is it's just so stupidly hard to send data, right? Like if it's a big file, like Nigel's video is like 30 minutes or something. But YouTube, man, you can upload quite large files, right? It didn't give you any issues, right, Nigel? Or
it did the first upload actually. For some reason, the render, it ended up being twice as long. It's kind of like the back end of the thing just went black to the, it's like the fade out just went forever, and it took like 3 or 4 hours to upload. But I went in and redid it because it obviously wasn't the film, because I used iMovie just to put it together, and it was fine. So I just uploaded it again, and it wasn't a problem that time. So it literally, I think it uploaded in about 30 minutes or so. So it wasn't too bad at all. And again, I trimmed off a little bit at the end because it had some kind of more personal detail on there. So I just trimmed that for the public version. And that was rendered in YouTube in Studio. So that, again, took about 15 minutes or something like that. So it's not a difficult thing to do. As you say, it's not a difficult thing to do. I guess you have to have a little bit of technology on your side if you want to actually put it together in the presentation form. But just uploading a video is not difficult at all.
Okay. I'm just going to come in and say, John didn't like my answer, the A10. He says it's an owl.
Now, wait, I want to ask. I'm glad he brought that up because I have to ask this question. Okay, like, for example, Chris, you as a professional, pilot and all this, like, I've asked Dave the same question, privately. Is it not frustrating when you have years of experience on something? You know what you're doing. You know what you're talking about. You give your 2 cents in regards to, for example, the A10 footage and say, okay, you know what, that's not a bird. You go and do your work. You take out the exact same FLIR camera that was used and compare and do comparison footage, and someone still comes and tells you it's an owl. I mean, how frustrating is that when this is what you do, and then some random individual comes and says, no, you're wrong. Like Mick West or whatever, just says, you're wrong. I just gave you all of this proof, evidence, video comparison
show this if you want to
show, and you still want to insist that it's a bird.
Chris is prepared because we're jumping right in.
Can you share it? I can't help it. Yeah, I don't know. It is frustrating. Of course, it's. I mean, the reason I spoke up and was obviously, I actually took out a lot of things out of that first video. So I was fired up. It happens sometimes because it's so blatantly obvious. I mean, you guys don't see it all the time, but it'd be like if I showed you a picture of a, plastic bag, like floating, or you made a video with your iPhone, right outside your front door of a plastic bag, floating along, and you showed it to me and you're like, that's a duck. That's basically what you're telling me, and I'm just like, so it's just insane. But I mean, the biggest evidence for me is just kinematic, how I would argue this for this A10 issue is the A10 is flying at least 250 knots sideways, right? So how is it possible that we can track this thing for any more than just a few fleeting seconds? Track the A10 and that thing in the foreground, whatever it is. You know, how is that even? It's not possible. You know,
No, it's not.
yeah, it's at miles. You know, think you're zoomed in. We have like a little soda straw, and you're just zoomed in. You know, to ultra narrow field of view or whatever he was in, narrow field of view, and now there just happens to be this other owl in the way. You know, and the plane is flying. I mean, it's moving hundreds of knots across, so it's line of sight, right? If it was just going away or towards us, then you could maybe argue that this thing is in the foreground and it's not really moving or something. But the plane is going sideways. It's the A10's obviously going sideways. So yeah.
On that video, the A10 video as well, was that in infrared?
Yeah.
It's infrared.
It was infrared.
So the jet was hot because it was black. Yeah, is that right?
Was it filmed in white?
Oh,
here it is. Yeah, here I got it. I got it right here. You can bring it up.
Yeah, I believe it was.
Yeah, so you got the exhaust coming out of the jet.
Yeah.
Oh, is that the dot? Is that the UAP?
Right here.
Oh, okay. So they're both hot.
Let me make it big. Yep. So it's black hot.
Right.
So here's John's latest comment.
Yeah,
the bird
friction, right? The aircraft are going to be hot because of the friction.
So apparently the A10 and the bird are in the same field of view because the bird is closer than the A10. But what do you say to that, Chris?
Well, so he's going sideways, right? And the best way would be to track it if we had the degrees. So the way I'll analyze it, if people still think it's preferred, is I'll analyze the tracking rate that's required. Okay, if this thing's going 200 knots and he's obviously, if you're down low, you're not going to be going slow because low and slow is a very dangerous place to be.
Yeah.
I think he's doing an attack run here. And so he's basically coming off of a gun attack or a rocket attack or something. And then he's going to be going probably maybe even up to 250, 300 knots. I guess that's like screaming for an A10, but still from the side, right? So let's watch it. Just imagine it's flying along 200 knots here. Okay. And he's still tracking to the right.
Where's the wings? Where's the flapping if that's close to the screen? We've seen so many IR videos.
He goes out of the screen. Look. Let me check it. Yeah, it's broken up though. This is on Dave's channel. I should say the other one, but it stays with him.
That was a bird. Look how if that's a bird, it would not fly like that. We've seen so many IR videos of a bird.
Yeah.
Where's the wings? Where's the flapping?
Because there's other parts of it, right? Where's the full A10 video? Do you have it?
I could possibly bring it up. Hold on.
Yeah. Let's just find the full one. We have to talk about it now as people ask questions.
Let me know if you want to stop it or anything at any time.
Yeah, just leave it going because it catches back up.
A bird would fly the other way with a roaring engine of a warthog.
Well, I guess the argument is it's closer, right?
So where's the flapping?
deal.
Where's the wings?
How is this going to happen, right? How is it going to be in the same screen right now as the A10, right? Just think of that.
Closer, yeah.
The A10's climbing.
It's impossible. I mean, just the last 10 seconds, right? We just calculate how far an A10 would have to go, and then you'd have to track to control it, and then you'd have to show. I mean, whatever's in the frame would have to had flown within that little tiny, 1 degree example to fly with the. I mean, it's not possible, So I don't know.
Show the stabilized video. You can see the bird flapping. You can even see it's an owl.
John Huxley! You guys just want to make me do more work, right? And just find this thing down.
This is I know who this is. A follower of mine who has been arguing this with me now for forever.
It's kinematics. So you can't really tell because it's moving, and so yeah, you could say I guess it's a bird. Except there's no way it can stay in the frame because the plane's going too fast. So we'll check it out. I'll analyze it further.
Well, wait till I can't say this. There is video that I would love for you to see. That I just got confirmation. Was believed last night that may be released a little sooner than I thought.
Ooh, do we get an exclusive here, Andy?
It's actually from the same individual who released, who sent me the A10 footage, and I don't know if you had seen the Bruja footage from the Indian reservation. So there was a third one that has been kept under wraps since I got a hold of it.
We haven't talked to the Bruja one. Have you guys shown that? Have you talked about that one?
Actually, Dave did an analysis for me on that one as well, and it's an interesting one because it's the object is somewhat, I believe, and he came to the same conclusion, is related to the other footage
really?
that I'm talking about. Yeah, because it's upright, it's not emitting any heat, and it's traveling at a. While in the Bruja footage, if you notice, once it passes the cattle, once it passes overhead of the cattle, it actually slows down.
Do you have that video? Where is it on your link?
I'm just looking. I don't think I've got that one.
Yeah.
So the other footage though,
the third one
is about it's almost an hour.
Excellent.
Captured from the air by Homeland Security. Border Patrol through FLIR, and there's at least a good 40 full minutes of this object going well over 100 miles per hour.
Excellent. Yeah,
So
I think I've heard about this one. I may have heard about it.
It's really good.
When is it going to come out? I keep hearing about it coming out.
Well, like I said, I just got word that it now may be coming out a lot sooner. There was some. You actually brought up one of the main reasons at the beginning was when you post a video on YouTube that it allows anyone else to, post it or whatever for copyright reasons or whatever. So that was one of the issues they had, and I decided to privately post it to give, the organization working on it the go ahead to release. So now it's just waiting to see when exactly they're going to go through with it, but.
Excellent. And what do you guys think of Skyhub?
Well, it's a shame that the American side of the whole organization is shut down.
Yeah,
but I know
is that
it's
what
still
happened? I don't know anything. I'm sorry.
Yeah, the
a lot of infighting, right? Something like that.
I think COVID and finances was the main issue. Unfortunately, I think there was a bit of back and forth between some of the people within the organization, but I can't really speak to that without knowing the full ins and outs. But
I heard the same.
I know the European arm is still going strong, so I think it's a great thing,
Yeah, it's excellent. Yeah.
Is this something? I think was it Kevin Knuth was talking about Skyhub, and isn't it some of its components you can basically buy?
Yeah. You can
ad
buy
hoc,
most of it
and
on
eventually
Amazon.
build it, put it together yourself, and have it in your back garden, sort of thing.
Yeah, and then I think the software that you use, or I think that comes from Skyhub, is like an AI that automatically tracks things through the sky. It knows birds, planes, and all the regular things you'd see in the sky, and it eliminates them and then picks up any anomalies. It's a fantastic idea and a bit of kit. I think there's different levels as well, depending how much you want to spend and invest. So,
yeah, I think they're having issues though.
Sorry. No, this just reminded me actually something that I did think about the other day. You'll get some things come into my head, and I have to say this because I just wanted to get it out and get an answer. Is it true that kind of civilian radar is filtered to not pick up anything other than civilian and military stuff? So anything that's just kind of random, is it filtered? I'm sure I heard something like that.
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
And if it's filtered, is it actually filtered, or is it filtered as in it just ignores it, or does it record it but just puts it to one side?
Yeah, it depends. There's many different types of radar. Like weather radar, it goes out and bounces off of ice and water. It's looking for water and stuff like that. So. But if you're looking for planes, you don't want to pick up all that stuff, right? You want to look through the weather. That's like the benefit of radar is it can go through weather. And this FLIR stuff, the big negative of FLIR, right, which I haven't really mentioned on any of the videos, is you can't really see through clouds, right? So if I know somebody's hunting me and they have an IR, like I'm gonna go under a tree or in the clouds or something, you know. I don't, or like Dave said in a, what was it, in a greenhouse? I think he said that one time. Like, you can't,
Oh yeah,
no.
Yeah.
Yeah,
You
that's
can't see
right.
through glass.
Yeah, you can't see. IR doesn't see through glass. It actually reflects it.
So if you've committed a robbery and you're on the run and the police helicopters above you with their flare,
yeah,
going on in a greenhouse.
yeah.
Or
Yeah.
just have a hat made of glass.
Oh yeah.
A glass umbrella.
Glass sombrero.
That's it. I'll keep that in my other pocket because in this pocket I've got my tripod ready to film you. You know, I'm all set for every possibility. So yeah, I'm just going to give a shout out to Guitar Slinger. You're going out on a CE5 event tonight. Good luck, man. I wish you all the best. So just wanted to give that shout out.
And if we don't hear from you again, we know it's worked.
Well, he says he's got a group of 10 or 15 people. So, you know, he's in good company. So they'll be good. But yeah, I wish you luck, man.
Did you guys read the oh, go ahead. You were going to shout someone else?
No. I was just going to shout. Benji's asking about Skyfort, which is Sean Cahill's organization. He's saying, apart from a few tweets and articles, Sean's been a bit quiet lately. Any word on what he's working on with Skyfort? No direct word that I've heard, Benji. I've heard a few little talks behind the scenes, but it's not really my place to talk about them speculatively. So I think it's best we wait a little while. I'm sure they're doing some good work. Lou's alluded to something. I don't think it'll be much longer before we hear what they've been up to. So, yeah. Go on, Andy. You were going to say, man.
Oh, I was just going to say, if you guys had seen the article on Medium with the UAPs aren't Russian or Chinese, and the Pentagon knows it, where they found in John Podesta's emails conversations between him and Bob Fish.
Oh, yes. I know that very well, indeed. Yeah, they're talking about the stuff where it comes in and the satellites see it, like the fast walker stuff.
Well, I read about it before when they first came out, but yeah, they could see them coming from deep space and actually tracking them all the way down until they enter the ocean.
Yeah,
so it's not like they don't know what these things are. And also, I always say this: my biggest argument is you can't say it's Russia or China or any other major player out there, because this is a phenomenon that's been around since the beginning of us. Since how could you possibly say it's China or Russia? And you go back into history and see that this is something we've been seeing now since the beginning, since we've been around.
I also think that if it was China or Russia, they'd have let us know by now somewhere, in some way, shape, or form. And if they're able to just wander around, free in U.S. military airspace, that they'd want you to know it was them, wouldn't they?
You'd think even if they tried to keep it secret, it would have come out by now.
Sure.
We know that Russia and China have got their own UAP programs similar to the UAP task force, so it doesn't make sense that it's them, and they've got these two bands like their task force and then their military completely separated. It makes no sense. But I think as well with the stuff that Podesta was talking about in those emails relates to what Lou's been talking about recently with these sensor systems, where pretty much anybody can track or predict when UAP are going to come or be around, which he's not given us the answer to. I've been working tirelessly for the last few days.
It's a compass.
I've heard about that a lot.
I've got a list of 3, and that's one of them.
It's got to be a compass. Man.
Actually, Chris,
on my list.
now that Vinnie mentions that, that was one of the reasons I wanted you to see that video I sent you with that individual. Because if you notice, he spoke about that, where he says that he overheard them mentioning that they knew where they would be when they would enter whatever warp or wormhole, that they knew how to track them. So that was one of the reasons why I sent that to you, because I wanted to see if any of what he was saying kind of made any sense. But apparently they have the ability to track these things before they even appear.
Yeah.
They
know magnetic anomaly. It's the magnetic field, isn't it, coming in and affecting the compass and stuff.
I did see something, and I'm not sure what channel it was on the other night. It may have been Thomas Fessler's channel.
Right.
And they were discussing the similar thing, and they mentioned that there's a certain radio frequency that pops up, and they said that kind of can be a precursor of sightings. So again, if it's, you know, it could be a magnetic kind of anomaly that creates this radio burst, and that, you know, it gives you an idea of when something might actually take an event or a sighting.
And this is now going on a couple of years that they've apparently had this ability.
Yeah.
So,
because initially I was thinking ultra high frequency through ham radio or something like that, but that doesn't make sense. That I know it's accessible to everyone if everyone goes out and buys a ham radio, but the way Lou was talking about it, it's something so simple and basic. He had this massive grin on his face, and it's like that made me think work right back down to basics.
Yeah.
Compass.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm not saying we're right, but it makes perfect sense. And
yeah, I mean, I think if you're talking the things that these things can actually do, right, then they're doing something with the magnetic and electric fields that we don't understand, right? We still don't understand why magnetism and electricity are related. You know, despite what they all say, we don't know why they're related. Like we observe things, you know, we observe why, and same thing with gravity. We observe, you know, when the apple falls, but we don't know really why. You know, they say curvature of space time. It's like, okay, you know, what is that? What's space time then? And it's like, well, I don't really know. But okay, that's curved. The thing you don't know, it's curved, and so this causes gravity. So, which is interesting too. I've been looking into infrasound.
Yeah,
so
that's
20
connected, definitely.
Yeah, and he mentioned that because Kevin Knuth, in another interview with Kurt Jaimangal in Theories of Everything, he was talking. It was just a theory about the cows at Skinwalker Ranch. They're talking about all the crazy stuff at Skinwalker Ranch, and he was talking about there's a certain hertz that is 12 hertz is supposedly the alpha or the hertz of your brain. There's some brain waves in your brain, I guess they could run at 12 hertz or something, and so you can potentially maybe excite these with those frequencies. So that could be why people feel these kind of weird effects, or you know, something like that. And so they were saying, Kevin was talking about how this other guy. Sorry, I wrote it down. Anyway, it's euphoria, UFO-ria. Euphoria is the effect this man, I can't remember his name off the top of my head, made. So that low frequencies is related to gravity waves. Actually, if you look at gravity waves, you know, they're just so big, but they're so hard to detect, right? I think they're so hard to detect because the wavelength's just so big, you know. I think it's all related somehow to magnetism, electricity, and then somehow gravity, and that all just sounds like a compass to me. You know, it all relates to a compass.
Did you see it? I mean, we know that the guys at Skinwalker Ranch have been setting up this super duper equipment, computer things and magnetometers and everything. But the one thing that really stood out for me, especially in the TV series, was they were just having strange issues with a compass. Electromagnetic anomalies, because the compass was completely switching from true north to a point on the ranch where they were doing specific work and stuff. Cool. Absolutely incredible.
But isn't that the same thing that pilot many reports from pilots where they say that they're, you know, like
the compass
and the compass and everything starts going
for decades.
Yeah,
that was with Ted Rowe. I really want to do an interview with Ted Rowe. He gave a great. Actually, was next on my list of videos to make is his conference brief at that AIAA conference was awesome, man. He talked about they had 57 events.
Yeah,
I think that's what you're referring to, Andy. The 57 events of electrical failures or anomalies of some sort on the planes. When they saw these, really the balls of light is what he was saying in his briefing, Ted Rowe. When the balls of light were there, they were getting weird anomalies. And then when they didn't see the balls of light anymore, the anomalies went away. So it was like they were transient.
It's interesting.
That is interesting, man. Definitely.
I think just going back to the AIAA, I think when we were talking about which was the most compelling sighting, you said gimbal. I'd agree with gimbal, but I think the most compelling thing that I've heard recently was Ryan Graves' talk, you know, discussing the sightings off the Virginia coast, off Virginia Beach, in that operation zone, the whiskey zone. Is that what it's called? Whiskey zone?
Whiskey 72. Yeah.
Whiskey 72 miles out. Huh? About 10 nautical miles. and they would see them day in, day out, a lot.
That was crazy. Day in and day out. Yeah, I couldn't believe it.
And
if you
but I did
zoom
look
out,
it up.
yeah,
I kind of looked in that area on Google Earth, and it's actually quite shallow there, isn't it? It goes out very quite shallow. And I saw there's a place called the Chesapeake Light, the Chesapeake Lighthouse or something, and it's been there since the 60s. There's been a lighthouse out there since the 1800s or something, but it's called the Chesapeake Light, and it's this basically it kind of looks like a small oil rig, if you like, standing out there, but it was used for weather, and it was also a lighthouse at one time. That sounds like it would be a perfect place to stick some sensors and some big cameras and look across that space. And that's about 13 miles out, I think, but even so, that would be a good spot. If they're there all that time, that amount of time, and that regularity, that would be a good place to put your sky hubs.
Yeah, but I did an interview with a good friend of mine, Jeff Blask, who works, he lives in Florida and works for the county out there. They're putting up these massive domed, what you might think are radar stations. And I mean, I did an interview with him about it, and he spoke to one of the contractors working on the case for the Air Force and jokingly said these would be great for tracking UAP. And apparently the guy just went to him, yep, you got it, that kind of thing. And apparently they're cropping up across multiple coasts now in the US. Brand new classified data coming out of them to do with the Air Force subcontractors. It's incredible. So that's going to, it's a developing story because we don't know much information about it. I don't even think they're finished yet. But yeah, that's a good rabbit hole to go down.
If there's any other place that they should put it at, it's Puerto Rico.
Oh yeah,
because Aguadilla is a massive hotspot. I mean, like you talk about hotspots, it's just as hot as like Brazil and South America.
Can you share my screen?
Ridiculous. There's so many stories. I've seen so many videos. It's just incredible.
Yes, I think the whiskeys are right off here. Whiskey goes out to like here on the east side, right? And so it was crazy. I was looking at this, right? And if you look, right, it goes out to here. This is literally Bermuda.
Doesn't the whiskey zone go into inland slightly as well? Doesn't it cover a little bit?
Only in water.
Okay.
I believe that. I'm sure they have some overland space, but
I think whiskey 70 starts inland and maybe it goes 71, 72 out into the ocean or something. I'm not sure.
Yeah, I don't have it on easy access, but I'm sure they have overland airspace somewhere. I don't know where it is, but the over water. Over water is great. You can go supersonic. You're not worried about speed. You can do chaff flares. We can't dispense flares or chaff over a lot of areas of the land and such. So, so there's a lot over the water.
Is that a deep ocean shelf that we can see that blue line going into the dark blue?
Yeah, this is your shelf. So this will go deeper.
If you zoom into Virginia Beach, which is just there, that's where Oceana is, the Naval Air Base.
That's the base.
Yes, that's right. That's where all the
Brian Graves said it's about 10 nautical miles out that they do the sort of training, which takes it into that shallow area, and then obviously it drops away.
So these things could be coming out of them deep water.
It's like right here is where your area is.
Interesting how this is very close to the Bermuda Triangle.
Exactly.
That's my point. I was like, what? I'm like, Bermuda's right there. Holy shit.
Ryan said, he said, we track these things flying east out into the middle of the ocean. Where are they going? Well, slightly south of that is Bermuda.
Yeah, I don't know, because if it does mess up your navigation equipment, that could have, who knows, maybe, I don't know, put ships off course or it's crazy. Anyway, I was very surprised. Bermuda was right there. Kind of.
Yeah.
I was freaking out.
I mean, that's the classic man. Flight 19 thing, isn't it? That they had a massive issue with navigation. They just eventually just ran out of fuel, they say, and just ditched, and that was it. But they went completely off course.
You wonder. I mean, they're kind of the same latitudes, or what is that? Longitudes.
You're the pilot. You should know.
Yeah. The north.
It's been a while.
Their far north coordinates is like 34 or something. It's interesting because the Catalina Islands are basically kind of the same.
Yeah, man.
General.
Catalina.
Yeah.
Another one.
I haven't heard about that recently.
Well, that was close to the Nimitz encounter, wasn't it?
Very
Yeah, it
close.
was right here.
Yeah.
And that was the
And-
one with also with Jeremy Corbell, the Omaha.
Yeah, 2019.
Yeah.
The all of those sightings from that.
And there's plenty other like private sightings that regular citizens have had in that area as well. You can
Santa
find a lot of-
Catalina, San Clemente, all of those little small islands, man. Yeah, definitely, man.
What
Very
about in
interesting.
the UK? Where's the places in the UK? Or
Oof, I don't know. We don't hear much, do we?
no,
No.
I hear it's very. My good buddy, he's from England. He saw a UFO when he was a kid. Actually, ran from it. Saw it land.
Where was he?
I don't know. I have to ask.
I mean, there's never a clear sky.
Let's get him on the show.
Dude, yeah, give me a
Get
shout.
him on
We'll
the
get him
show.
on.
Yeah. No, it landed. He said it landed in. I don't want to show it, but it was basically a saucer landed and he booked out of there. You know, he ran.
Dude,
So.
we'll have to get him on another
He
time.
saw it land. He saw it land.
Yeah, yeah. He said he was 10 years old. He saw it with his brother, and they both ran inside. And then he just made up a story for his brother to say, like, "Oh, we were just playing in a UFO." I think his little brother came in and told mom, "Hey, we saw a spaceship," And then he kind of played it off.
I had someone tell me a wild story. I think it was from around this area as well. When he was younger, he was sleeping and got woken up by his mother in the middle of the night, and he saw this light entering the room, and his mom told him, "Don't move." And his little brother was in the room as well, laying down, and she says, "Stay here. I'll be right back." So she goes downstairs and goes outside. Of course, curiosity got the better of him. He gets up and he looks outside, and he looks out the window, and right over the neighbor's house was literally how he said he described it as 100-foot saucer just sitting right over the house, and everyone in the neighborhood was outside staring at this thing, and it was like emitting a red glow. And his mother came back upstairs and grabbed him and shut the windows and basically just stood there until the light just disappeared. So after that, he wasn't able to see what happened, but he did tell me that he clearly saw this massive object literally just sitting right over the house, and everyone was outside. So it was a really, really interesting story.
Yeah, that's when you need Nigel there, man. I bet none of those people went and grabbed their handy cam. You don't do it, man. You got to be ready. It's like the Heimlich. Before the Heimlich, like how many thousands and thousands of people just died, choking to death in a restaurant or something.
Well, that's the shock and awe.
You got to be ready. Like I'm still ready. I'm not a very big guy actually, but I'm always ready to do a Heimlich.
It's always different when you see it from far. It's different, but when like I was saying, the shock and awe of something like that to be like that close to you is you don't have the time to look for anything because you're so taken back by what it is that you're looking at. That's like with mine. It was not even that close. His was closer than my sighting, and mine's literally had me where I didn't even want to do anything else but stare at this thing because I just couldn't believe how close it was.
There's been a lot of sightings where people have said that they've been stuck in that moment, but there's something else has taken over their brain to make them just mesmerized to the point where they can't just pull logical thought out of their head to that, oh, hang on a minute, I'll go and grab a camera. They're so switched into this thing that it's almost being affected by it. It's
so just, it's so out of it, like it's out of your reality. It's like the only way I can describe it is like a fly or a mosquito being, drawn to one of those zappers. And he just sits there. So it's like literally sitting there looking at one of these lights and just being mesmerized by what it is you're looking at. It's
Yorne's comment here, you're nailed to the ground. It must feel like that. Yeah.
Oh yeah. It's like literally takes over you. Like, it's just, there's no way to describe it. Like you literally have to experience something like that.
I know, I do. I want to.
Overwhelming.
I'm sure Chris feels the same though. I think me and Chris are the only two who've never really seen anything.
Well, I won't tell a story because I know, Nigel, you probably don't know, but the quick version is that I actually was about 150 feet away from a saucer right over my house. So like, I know what that is like to, sit there and just be like, what do you do? You're just staring at this thing.
Then you hear crazy stories too, like the guy on Twitter yesterday, Chris on Twitter. You know, it's like he's got these, you know, little balls of light like following his daughter into her room, you know, and he can't go in there. He's like, can't move. Like, I don't know.
Oh, yeah,
I don't
on that-
necessarily want that experience, Vinny. You know, I want the good, cool experiences. I don't want
That's the
terrible
thing. Like, there's so many different versions of what this anomaly is, whether it be craft
So many.
out in the sky or orbs in people's houses. That was a fantastic conversation.
But you don't
I've
know
read
if some of these
before.
objects even have smaller beings in them. Who knows? I mean, doesn't mean that an intelligent being has to be the same size as us or the same height or a little bit. What if there's another type of intelligence that's way smaller?
Dude.
You know, and that's where you see these little tiny orbs.
That's
You know?
that's something I've been thinking about a lot recently, because size and scale to us, you know, if you think about time when it goes out into the universe, is completely different to here. So why does scale mean anything when it's goes way out of there? It's been really on my mind. There's something I'm thinking about putting a question to Lou as well.
It's up and down. You know,
it's
it's as huge out there as as tiny down there, and everything in between. So,
live in a fractal universe.
Yeah, but after that conversation yesterday, Chris, on Chris's Twitter Spaces, I hit him up and he's going to come on here in a couple of weeks' time.
Oh, cool.
Man. Yeah, definitely, man. He's a very, very. I like the guy a lot, man. I got a lot of time for him. It's just one of those guys that I never connected with, but I've seen him everywhere else. It's like it's time for me to get him on my channel, man.
But, I mean, it's hard, right? It is hard though, because I mean, it's intense, you know, when the people have these stories where they're like, you know, there's continued contact they don't really want, and they're in their house, you know. Yeah. I don't know. There's like a lot of baggage there, you know. There is a lot of baggage, so it is. You just walk. I walk into that room, you know. It's like it is difficult, you know. Like,
well, yeah. I mean, he was talking about his experiences growing up and in the past. Then he was talking about how his young children are having these experiences now, and that he couldn't convince his wife of it. I mean, that dynamic in the family must be so stressful. You know, I can't even begin to imagine how difficult.
Yeah, and the generational effects are freaky too. You know, like it's one thing it happens to you, but it's like you pass it on to your kids. You know, that's messed up. You know, or why is it going on generationally? Yeah, so I mean, there's a lot of baggage, right? There is. I mean, it's emotional and obviously serious topic.
That's one of the reasons why I say I don't think we're ever going to be really prepared for it or ready for it, or accepted of it. Because what if we find out that we're looked at the same way we look at you know, all other biological life on this planet? You know, we go in and snatch up an animal and dissect it to learn about it. Do we ask for permission? Do we give a crap about what any of the other species think? No. So now think of us, you know, sentient beings of this planet, finding out that there's a higher intelligence, way more advanced, doing the same with us, and don't care about what we think in regards to that. They don't care to ask us for permission. They're just doing what they do the same way we do what we do, you know? So like, how would you react to that? The fact that you're completely powerless to this, you know?
I'd just be like, dude, you don't want to look inside me. I smoked for 20 years. I got black lungs. I'm not a good example. So don't come and get me. I mean, I know I'm joking and I shouldn't. So, you know, but I do respect experiences and things like that. But yeah, it's a difficult one, isn't it? Because, you know, I always came at things from a nuts and bolts angle. But the more you look at this and the more you deep dive and research, there's so many different angles and aspects of it. It's not just a case of things in the sky. It's down to these personal levels that we just mentioned across generations. So yeah, man, there's so many more questions than answers the more you look into it. It's that same old cliche. You know?
Well, what do you think on the disclosure? You know, do you think that the U.S. government knew, or back in the 40s, 50s? Is that what you believe, Vinnie? And
I think they knew something. I think they knew something about certain downed craft and probably certain biological entities and some bodies maybe, but that doesn't answer everything. That answers what happened then. Doesn't answer these things that are supposedly seen that look more like they're coming from different dimensions that are blinking in and out of existence on, you know, I don't think it's all one thing. And that's just speculation, but that's just the way through my research. That's what I've come to. That's why I say it's given me more questions than answers the more I look into it.
Yeah, I guess the only thing I could think of is, if your information is compartmentalized in militaries or in governments, right? It's usually hidden down. There's lists, of who actually even knows the information. If you could travel through walls, and you had advanced technology, it'd be pretty easy to get rid of all those lists. And they're not. It can't be that many, right?
Yeah,
You're talking about these super secret areas. There's not so much. That's why I'm like, just post that sucker to YouTube, let's post it, put it on the blockchain, I mean, they probably have quantum computers, right? Because you need quantum computers to beat like Bitcoin. The NSA can't hack Bitcoin, that's why they don't like it, right? Because now for like the first time in history, we have greater cryptological advantage over governments, right?
That's it. The control is with us.
Yes. Yeah. Unless they say we can't do it. So the government can do that, right? Like China, they shut down all the crypto, essentially.
Yeah,
so,
but they shut down everything, man. They shut down the amount of hours you can spend playing video games, the amount of social
seriously.
media, like, come on, man.
I would die there, man. I would die.
So, no, I get you, though. I hear where you're coming from. Exactly, man.
So I don't know. I could see that happening. I could see people make, it's a crazy time there in the 40s and 50s. You're talking... We were dropping literally nuclear bombs on people, and I don't think we can imagine their thought processes at the time. The level of violence, they were in total war situation. So I don't know. I could see where they hide stuff because they think, whatever, the commies are going to get it, and so I could see them hiding it at that point, and then maybe they just keep it secret for so many years. Seems kind of crazy to me, but I guess it's possible.
It's hard to speculate when you go back that far. I mean, so many people was asking questions about war and stuff like that. They weren't asking questions about flying saucers and that, even though that's when it kind of started being portrayed in film and things like that and popular culture. That's kind of where it all sort of started. But they weren't asking the big, deep questions that we're asking now, asking the questions why the government were hiding things. When Project Blue Book was going on, the public weren't questioning it. It was only after the fact that people were like, hang on a minute, are they telling us the truth?
You mean they're lying to us? I don't
No.
Well, that person may not be lying to you. That person may actually just not know, So
compartmentalization, exactly.
Yeah, again, you compartmentalize, and that's the thing. Like if you get it narrowed down so small, then it's a very small target to destroy that information, right? So that's why if you can travel through walls and really do all this stuff, it wouldn't be that hard to get rid of it.
Yeah, that's why I find it difficult when people say, well, the government are never going to tell us anything. It's like, you're talking about this massive umbrella of the government, and they're not telling us that. You can't say that. You've got to dig right down deep into the tiny little annexes at the bottom with those few secret keepers, because everyone else has no idea. Yeah. They wish they did, but they don't. So it's not a simple. And then, the ones that are down there are then in cahoots with a few people within private corporations like Lockheed and so on and so forth who might have information. But even within the private corporations, there are need to know and compartmentalization. And I just don't like this whole umbrella speak of the government will never tell you anything. I hate it when people say that. Yeah,
the UAP report, though, it told a lot. It really did. You got definite numbers in there. You got, so it's 11 safety. I mean, they said, it is a safety factor. It's a safety issue for sure. And that is that is your, it's like your, F in front of mom kind of situation, right? The only reason you would do that, I mean, it's all flying is inherently dangerous, right? Especially flying fighters and training and everything, very dangerous. But we do that, right? Because the risk is ultimately, we think, worth it. But only if you drive down your safety numbers enough, right? If you lose a plane every time you go and train, right? You're not going to train. So you have to drive your safety. So that's why safety has to be you have to focus on that first, right?
Yeah.
Because everyone's focusing on the mission. Like everybody's focusing on the mission. Everybody wants cooler weapons, cooler toys. We can shoot them faster. I'm like, we already shoot them really fast, but that's what they're focused on. Instead of, I was always on the nerdier side, the safety side, how can we do it without losing assets? How can we do it more efficient? So I don't the safety part, but it's a stopping point, So if they say safety, someone has to hit the red button. So
yeah, and I think
Yeah.
I think what people need to realize as well that I get a lot of comments on especially on my Instagram, people saying, "Well, these things aren't a threat." I'm like, listen, tell that to the pilots that are having near misses with that on a regular basis, who are flying, super fast in their jets and that, who are having to perform evasive maneuvers just to avoid these things. How can you say that these things aren't a potential threat, yet they are experiencing this by what Ryan Graves says on an almost day-to-day basis? I think people are just so like la-di-da that aliens are just here to help us, man. Like, come on, man. It's not that black and white.
No.
Yeah.
It really isn't. And I don't know what to say
Lou,
to these people.
Lou Elizondo qualified that the other day on something I was watching. He said, threat means two different things. If it's aggression, that's a different threat to safety. And like you say, safety is the most important thing. I mean, the fact that these things are zipping between two jets when they're 100 feet apart, which isn't a lot, these objects might not collide. They may be just tuned not to collide with stuff, but it's not going to stop one of the jets panicking and flying into the other.
Banking instantly. I mean, Chris, you could attest to that. How would that have made you feel? You got your F-16, you got your wingman off your wing 100 feet or 200 feet, and this thing's coming between you. I mean, I can pretty much guess what you're going to say, but how would that have made you feel, man?
I have no idea, honestly.
You wouldn't be happy about it, would you?
I guess they knew about it, Yeah. I mean, I don't move, I move so slow. Like my wife, she like catches glasses and stuff, but I've just been trying, like, I don't move. Like if something happens, in a plane, if you have this jerk reaction, it's usually a bad reaction, so I go the opposite now. Like a glass falls and I'm just like, I just watch it, super slow reactions, it's getting better. I'm trying to like, come on, man. Like you totally could have caught that. So I wouldn't have done anything really. I've just been not crashing into and I would have just seen it get by and be like, holy shit. I think that's really all that would have happened.
Stay still and nothing's going to happen.
Yeah. I don't know how you process it, I don't.
Yeah.
They knew about it though. They had some idea.
Well, they did. Yeah. They spoke between themselves, I think there was so many conversations, and I think I've heard Ryan Graves say this before, that they would have these conversations each time, another squadron went up, and that'd be like, be careful out there. They're still up there every day. We're still seeing them, like, joking within themselves. Well, not joking, but like just kind of casually speaking, like, yep, they're still up there, that kind of thing. Like, that's crazy.
Nervous laughter.
Yeah, that's exactly it.
Like, okay.
Yeah, his in his presentation, his last statement, where the commander of the squadron says it's only a matter of time before there's a mishap. I mean, that's just
exactly.
He's not like.
But I think it would be more human error than anything, because there's very, 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 very few cases of an unidentified object colliding with a airplane or anything like that in the sky.
How do we know
that? I've heard about. It's only been very.
There are a few. I know it's very.
No, there are a few, but it's not like to the point where you got to be like, oh my god, these guys don't know how to drive up there. You know what I'm saying? But I think they know what they're doing. Especially when you are flying at 16,000 miles per hour right over the surface of the land and not crash into anything. Pretty sure your skills are up there too.
Did you guys read this statement from Tom DeLonge? It's a bit small, but it's talking about videos that they were trying to get released at the time of the gimbal go fast and the tic tac, and it's saying there were 26 videos. One very small. Some of the videos have UFOs 10 feet away from the F-18, tracking them for 20 minutes, and it's all on camera. The UFOs going 600 miles an hour, and the pilot's freaking out, screaming, and all this thing is scanning the plane for a whole 20 minutes. Like,
I'm pretty sure that's the one.
Gonna freak you out.
I'm pretty sure that's the one that Lou was mentioning, where the guy actually soiled himself.
I think so as well. I'm going to ask that question next week.
Like, he literally soiled himself.
So
from the fear.
That is the 23-minute video, I think. So I'm going to try and get a bit. Yeah, I'm going to dig in with that with Lou a little bit. We'll see.
Next week. Yeah.
Yeah, the 19th. So where are we? 8 days away. So a week tomorrow. Yeah, Lou's coming on again. So I've got him for an hour and a quarter, something like that. Yeah. So yeah, if you guys have got any questions you want to ask him, just let me know.
About the compass, I don't know. I mean, I kind of feel bad if it is, because he was pretty obvious, but
Well,
oh well.
I was going to bring something up along the lines of the sensor system, and
Yeah.
I've been thinking about it behind the scenes, trying to work it out, and I thought, like I said, that was on my list of 3. I didn't want to say anything right now, but because you said it, I'm happy.
Okay, sorry.
No, it's absolutely fine.
Yeah.
It's great. I think more people should know. I just hadn't really finished what I was doing, but do you know what? I'm just going to throw it out there to Lou.
And I was trying to find it. I couldn't find it on my phone, but Martin from Denmark, he sent a list. There are these, I don't know, magnetic detectors around. You can actually look online to find, I don't know, compass measurements, I guess. I'm not sure, but I'm looking into it. Maybe there is a national, magnetic detection system or something that detects fields for some reason. So I don't know. I was looking at EMFs too, but I couldn't find anything below 50 hertz. It's just like these cheap, crappy ones that go from like 50 to 60 hertz. Yeah,
I've been looking at trying to get some ton of data equipment, whether it be some FLIR system or some night vision or something. Because I have bad skies here, and so I want to see beyond the clouds that we have here nightly. And you can get FLIR systems that made by FLIR that actually clip onto your iPhone. I've been considering that, but then I won't get much distance. So I don't know. Andy, you've got a kind of neat bit of kit, haven't you? You've got one of them.
Yeah, I got the Luna Optic 3rd generation infrared.
Yeah, I'm just not ready.
It's actually crystal clear at night. The only problem is there's so many damn mosquitoes out here that I don't want to sit outside in the middle of the night. I'm waiting for winter to come. Then I go outside, calmly look up. But if I do it now, forget it. I'll freaking die of some kind of disease.
Oh, it just looked like a mosquito swarm. It's like
oh my god, it's so
swarm
bad.
of UFOs coming at you.
But it is good. I'm waiting for that to start using it because the clarity is amazing. I know I'll catch something really good.
Yeah, no, that's cool, man. Well, listen, guys, we're about to hit the 1.5 hour mark. This has flown by. Has anyone got anything they want to talk about before we sign off? Or
will we take one last question? Or
I was going to say, just backtracking to what Andy was saying about his encounter and it being 100 feet away from something. I think if my sighting had been anything closer than, or anything close to that, I think my reaction would have been a lot different.
Yeah.
I think, I would have had to have talked to somebody about it, probably from a psychological aspect.
Yeah,
seeing something that close. I mean, you're seeing it, and then you go, "I can't be seeing this. Why am I seeing this? I can't be seeing this. This isn't real. It can't be real. It is real." That's just all the things that must go through your head when you see something that close up. I mean, I could literally just see it from a distance, or a big distance. So I didn't have that. I was quite excited, but I didn't have the fear thing. It was more of a being inquisitive as to what it was. What could it be? It's only recently that it's become that it may have been more than I thought it was. So, I mean, I would love or hate to see one close up, because I think the fear factor would be quite visceral.
That's why I say that, everybody in hind, they oh yeah, I want to see one. And when you're actually that close to one, you don't know how you're going to react. You don't know what it's going to do to you psychologically, because it's the impact of seeing that is just, Vinnie knows. I told Chris, the story also, but psychologically it impacted me my entire life, and that's just seeing it from that close. Now imagine this thing landing and something coming out of it and coming up to you. Forget it. You'd be running for the hills. You wouldn't want to stick around and see what this thing was. Well, at least the majority of people. Me, I'd be running towards it, trying to jump inside. But but most people, I don't think they actually have the psychological, I guess, strength to actually see that in real life, in the flesh, right in front of you. That's just it's a whole nother level, like of of impact, you know, mentally. It's just it's no. I always say there's no way for me to explain it. You just have to. You'd have to see it. You know, you'd have to be there.
I'm waiting, bro. I'm waiting.
You know, it's pretty. It's incredible.
Better compass.
Did you ever have those moments where? Do you ever have those moments where you completely disbelieve yourself when you think back?
Well, let's put it like this. I tell people
kind of waves of it.
I tell people all the time that it's so incredible when you see it that you actually don't believe your own eyes, number one, and it looks like real life. The only way I could describe it is like it looks like you're looking at real life CGI. That's how incredible it is. Like I can't put it in any other terms. It's like you're looking at something that was literally put there by a computer, and you know the way it moved was just off. Everything about it was just like, what am I looking at? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So this is why I say, you know, people think they're ready, but I don't really think they are. Maybe a handful of humanity may be able to, you know, prepare themselves and be okay with it, you know. But I don't think the majority of people will be able to handle something like that. It's pretty incredible.
But then why not open disclosure? You know, is it the government's all unitedly not admitting it? I can't believe that's true. You know, or is it all of these disparate, you know,
but
aliens not wanting us to learn, or they can't? We just physically can't.
But here's the thing: even if the government disclosed it, right, and said, yeah, all this is real, you have to also think about how much what the government's done, you know, from them to now to cover this up. You know, people oft experiments that probably been done, you know, that involve humans and stuff like that. A lot of other things are going to come to light because you're now saying, okay, yeah, it's real. So now that means all these other stories that you've heard may possibly be real too.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
and they're not going to want to freaking admit that. You know what I'm saying? It's going to be a freaking PR nightmare.
Yeah.
Well, let's do it. You know, let's their own evidence, man.
You bet you lie in it.
That's so funny.
Well,
listen, guys.
In the UFO. Yeah.
Thank you so much, man. Like, let's do this like regularly, maybe once a month, every couple of months or something. I feel like these conversations, when they're a bit more organic, I think people find or get a lot more out of them than it's just interviews and stuff like that. People have been messaging me going, you need to do more panel discussions. So thank you for that, man. I really enjoyed that. So yeah, man, like, again, let's do it again in the future and get Dave involved and other guests as well, and just keep switching it around. And we can have up to like 8 or 10 on these StreamYards. So let's get it going, man. So yeah,
awesome.
Thank you, guys.
Yeah, thanks, Nigel.
Thank you, guys.
Great job, man.
Nigel. Thank you, brother, man. I appreciate
Thank
it.
you.
Talking to you guys.
I mean, it's been fun.
Yeah,
You said it would be fun, and it was.
Yeah. Absolutely, man.
I'm going to go get drunk.
Hey.
I'm surprised Vinnie is hard.
I'm out. There you go.
Come on, man.
Vinnie's always getting drunk in his lives.
Well,
Yeah.
up until now, I've been always on the chat or whatever, and I commented on his sneaky glass of Malbec, and he said always Malbec, you know. So that's just it's always a cheers, thumbs up with a glass of wine next to it.
Yeah, love it, man. I absolutely love it. Well, actually, I don't. It's funny that I got associated with being a drinker on YouTube and Instagram, but hey, you know, at least it isn't just beer.
It's only wine.
I keep it
Only
classy.
wine.
I keep it classy. So, anyway,
You're a classic drunk.
Hey, yeah, there you go. You know? It could be worse. I just want to give a shout out to everyone that's been watching live tonight as well. Thank you so much. I appreciate you guys. All the guys that question us and make us, you know, really have good debates. I appreciate you guys as well, because that just motivates us to keep doing what we're doing as well. So I do appreciate that aspect of things as well. So don't think that we're just against you, because we're not. Yeah, guys, thank you so much, man. Keep in touch and we'll speak soon.
Thank you, guys. Thank you, Chris.
Thank you guys. See you, Andy.
Take care.
Nice here. Same here, bro.
See you in a bit, man.
Take care, guys.
See you guys. See you, Andy. See you guys.